y'all, and welcome to Playing with Possibilities. I am joined today by my friend and colleague, Ade Anifowose. Christine is off today. In this space, we talk about everything from spirituality and social justice to being human and connecting with our ancestors. We talk about how the things that we do create our reality and how we can intentionally create our collective reality together. My name is Cecile Armstrong. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a Black woman and a self care and social justice facilitator. I'm streaming from the ancestral land of the Tutelo colonized as Roanoke, Virginia. I am the founder of Inspired by Indigo, an online membership community where I guide people to let go of blame, shame, and guilt so we can make anti racism a habit. Every month, we go through my four pillars so that we can support each other and create a habit of undoing what we have learned and lived about race, privilege, and equality. Um, and I think that's it for me. So now I'm going to throw it over to you today.
I was trying to squeeze in a quick thing to share the show. Yes, I am. Okay, there we go. I am Ade Anifowose and a mindset coach, spiritual healer, podcaster, a transformational agent. My work is really about supporting people to connect with the deepest part of themselves. The whole thing about well-being, stress, when we are rooted, when we're grounded in our
Hmm.
roots, and remembering that we're part of a lineage that's been here, people have been here, but like that life was passed on to us. It reminds us that we belong. So I do that through my program called Representing Our Ancestors, representing our stories, and it's a reminder that we're not here alone and we're part of a tree of life. So you
Hmm.
may be a branch feeling like you're just hanging, but no, there are other branches around you. There's a trunk holding you together. There are roots deep, deep, deep down. And for me, I find that the more we understand that, the more we recognize that we are not just dust in the wind, that it
Hmm.
makes us very, very feel a sense of belonging. It strengthens our confidence, and when we show up in places, we know we're not showing up alone. We're showing up with ancestors. We're showing up
Hmm.
people who came before us. And
Hmm.
ancestors is not a mystical thing. It's not something like, oh, ancestors. You are your ancestors. You're representing your ancestors right here, right now. So
Hmm.
it's like, it's really about joining, making the invisible visible. Because
Hmm.
that's where the power is, where the strength is. And you said something during your introduction, which reminded me just this quote by Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams. She's a Buddhist minister, and it's just something that I thought I just grabbed the book real quick. It said, "Without inner change, there can be no outer change. Without collective change, no change matters."
Hmm. I love that. I love that.
Yes,
I've heard that quote before. I love that. And it's true. Because any change that we make on the outside is because something shifted inside of us. We changed the way we think, we changed something that we believed, and that's what helps us
yes,
change our behavior.
indeed. And
Mhm.
we've got to do it collectively. Why collectively? Because we're part of the tree of life.
Mhm.
Where what
Mhm.
happens to one part of the tree affects the other, and
Mhm.
it's this whole thing. What we're going to be talking about today is
Mhm.
sometimes we want to compartmentalize ourselves or what we do and how we show up. I'm a parent, that's over here. I'm a supervisor. I'm a business owner. I'm no, they're all part of the
They're
whole,
all
and we
part of
got
the
to honor
whole.
the whole. Yes.
Yes. Yes. And we were talking about this about how people compartmentalize because I was telling you that I am restarting my Facebook group, Meditations for Persistence. It's a group that I started back in 2016 after the 2016 election. And I was providing, it was a space for the resistance because originally was called Meditations for the Resistance. And it was a space for us to come together to get grounded. I was providing live meditations once a week. We were doing Sunday nights. And then we talked politics, during the week. And uh, I remember the group grew to like over 1,000 people, and then people were saying things like, "Oh, this is so unique. I don't know anybody else who's combining, meditation and politics and talking about spirituality in daily life." And I was kind of like, "But it's all one. It
Mhm.
is all one." And so I stepped away from the group for a while, but now I'm going back to lead the group again. And I haven't gone live, started with the meditations yet. I actually have some people. I've asked some people to help me do the meditations on Sundays. But then we're going to continue having these discussions during the week about politics and social justice and human rights and how do you get active and what do you do and where do you find your space and the the thing the thing that I keep hearing in different groups when I talk about these kind of things together is and I'll just go ahead and say it, especially in white spaces, white women's spaces, is that they want to talk about the spirituality and they want to talk about rising above and all that kind of stuff. But then when you say, and how's that translate into how you live? They just want to say, "Oh no, it's up here. It's I'm doing the work." But if you're doing the spiritual work, but you are not bringing that back down into your physical life, then you're not really doing the work. You're doing that
Mhm,
spiritual bypassing thing. And so,
mhm.
I know what we're talking about, playing with possibilities here, and what I'd like to talk about today is playing with the possibility of showing up as your full self in all spaces. And what would that look like? How would that
Ooh,
feel? How would that feel?
it's funny because that's how I live my life.
Mhm.
I live my life from showing up in whatever I'm doing to the best of my abilities,
Mhm.
the way I show up anywhere else.
Mhm.
One, because this is my work, and I don't mean work of working just with working with people. This is my
Right.
work on this earth to
Mhm.
show up from a place of alignment, being
Yes.
integrated.
Mhm.
Um, you could definitely talk about spirituality and politics.
Mhm.
Religion and politics, that's a different thing.
That's a totally different thing. I'm not
That's a
talking
totally
about religion
different.
and politics.
That's it.
I'm
And
not talking about that.
yeah, and I've been doing that on my radio shows and stuff. We've been doing that with Rev D. We've been
Mhm.
talking about politics and spirituality because the whole
Mhm.
thing, politics really is an extension of spirituality.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
how do we? I heard something today where there is apparently, well, not apparently because I heard about it, but what I heard was one of the presidential candidate, what's his name, Buttigieg. I'm not sure if I'm. He wanted to be president during the
Oh,
last
Pete
presidential thing.
Buttigieg. Yeah, he did. He
Yeah,
did.
Pete.
He did
Yes,
run for president. He's now
right.
the. I think he's Secretary of Transportation.
So I just heard today there's a baby formula shortage
Mhm.
in America.
Yeah.
And apparently, he said something like the government is not in the business of baby formula, providing baby formula. It's like
Pete Buttigieg said that.
that's what I heard.
Okay, I
A
haven't
friend of
seen
mine
that.
told me. Yeah, and I was like, how can anybody even say that the government is not in the, that's what politics. That's what government is. It's the well-being of its citizens.
Mhm.
It's the well-being. They're responsible for the well-being of this. That's what it really
The
should be.
government is like a collective agreement to take care of people and provide
That's it.
services, right? If you're
That
not
is
going to
the
do that, then what is
democratic.
the point of having a government?
Indeed.
Mhm.
However, using him as an example, anybody else always thinks those things are separate. If we don't bring our whole part to it, then we end up doing things and saying things
That
that
sounds
really.
really weird for him, though.
I was surprised too. If I get a chance, I Google it because we
Yeah,
we can
I'm
multitask.
I'm trying to remember how to spell his name so I can look it up now.
Don't worry, Google will spell it for you. Just Pete Buddha is like I know what you're talking about. So you keep googling.
I
But I was
mean,
like, wow, it's like so spirituality and politics, spirituality, and it's important for people to understand that when we're saying spirituality, this is not a membership. This is about the essence of who we are. This is about our spirit. This is about our common humanity. You
mhm.
can't say, well, we try to. And when we do, that's when we start to feel unfulfilled. We start to feel angry. And there's so many things now that it's been happening. But
Okay.
sometimes people feel like, this is work. This is corporate America. I can't be like that in corporate America. I can't say that in corporate America. Yes, to some extent, there was a time where some things you can't say. However, we're in a stage right now where there is a shift happening, where people are doing meditation in corporate America, people are doing yoga, people are chanting. Now, people
Mhm.
might still make fun of it, but not as much as before. What caused
Right.
what caused the paradigm shift? It's because we're recognizing we need to get our shifts together,
We do.
and
Oh my
we
gosh, do we?
need each other.
We
So,
do.
and if we don't honor our whole self, if we don't bring our whole self, whatever that looks like from moment to moment, we end up projecting our own pain, our own insecurities onto others, causing pain
Yes.
for another person,
Right.
doing stupid crap.
And we end up teaching it to our kids who learn that
Yes,
and then pass it down to their kids. Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
And we say, well, I don't know why they're like that. We don't know where to learn them from. And then parents, what we end up doing is we say, well, he wasn't like that until he started moving with those crowds. Those
Mhm.
boys were influencing him. Those girls were influencing her.
Mhm.
And the parents of the other girls would say their child was influenced by, nobody wants to be accountable.
Ain't nobody wants to be
Other
accountable.
people are the bad people. Other people are the evil people. And the evil
Mhm.
people are saying you are the evil person.
Mhm.
It's like we're just projecting, bringing
Oh
our
my
whole self,
goodness. Let me
bringing
tell
our
you
whole self.
what you're talking about is not recognizing your shadow self as part of you.
It's part of you. I call
Mhm.
myself a shadow worker
Mhm.
because that's where the gem is.
Mhm.
What we see is already out here. I got a
Mhm.
podcast. I have to host a podcast every Tuesday. My topic tomorrow is all a facade. It is
Mhm.
all a facade.
Mhm.
It's this whole thing that we put on makeup and trying to show up a certain way.
Mhm.
Go on IG, see somebody's feed, and it's always about them traveling to Egypt and traveling to Indonesia, and it's like,
Okay,
I
so
wish I
your
could live a life
podcast is
like that
about it all being a facade, and my blog post for this week is about how everything's connected.
because it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, spam call. Didn't turn didn't turn
Yep,
off my
they're trying to
spam.
spam the show.
So in my blog post of this week, I'm actually talking about how all these things that we're seeing in American politics right now that seem so separate, that are like attacks on all these different groups, and I'm talking about how it's all connected because it's all the same thing.
It's
And
all
how if they can
connected.
separate us and get these people over here defending themselves, and then this small group over here defending themselves, and this small group over here defending themselves, instead of us recognizing that this is all a coordinated attack coming from different places, all for the
Yes,
same ends, and then we all stand together,
yes.
then it's all connected. And then beyond that, um, when we're talking about how the people with the power and the wealth, regardless
Mm-hmm.
of country, tend to
Mm-hmm.
split the masses that don't have the wealth and think they don't have the power, but we have the
Mm-hmm.
numbers. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a across the board thing. That's just kind of the way it works. They want to keep us
Yes.
distracted, they want to keep us unhealthy, they want to keep us busy, so that we can't come together and recognize our power and unite.
Mm. I want to read this because it's like I'm listening to you and just triggering stuff. I
Mhm.
don't know if I can pronounce this guy's last name, but I'll spell it. Apparently, it's Pastor Martin. His last name is Niemoller, and you may have heard this before. And he's quoted for saying, "First they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I
Mhm.
was not a socialist.
Mhm.
Then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist.
Mhm.
Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew.
Mhm.
Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me."
Yes. Yep.
We don't speak up. We think it's separate. It's not separate.
It's not. It's not separate. And everybody who thinks that they're not a target right now, when they're done with the rest of us who are targets, who's left? The people who don't think they're a target right now. So if you don't
Yes.
stand up with the rest of us who are being targeted, who's going to be left to speak for you?
Yeah. And speaking
Mhm.
of like from a spiritual perspective too, even the ones that are doing the targeting will get consumed by the
Oh yeah.
targeting energy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yes. The ones that are out there, the
Yes.
ones that are out there believe in the hype and willing to kill for this idea
Mm-hmm.
are not part of the elite that are going to be saved.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And bringing our whole self is the solution. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, bringing your whole self, whatever that is, you gotta have to do
Mhm.
your own work to figure out what does that mean. Does that
Right.
mean now to bring my emotions? Well, that's something you gotta figure out. And
Mhm.
emotions are not a bad thing. We
Mm-mm.
sometimes say, "Well, I can't be emotional." If you can't emotion, you can't be human. Your
Right.
emotion is full of wisdom.
Mhm.
It's full of gems. It lets
Mhm.
you know if there's something you need to be aware of. It could be just an email that was composed and ready to be sent off, and you feel some kind of like nervousness. You can say, "Oh, I
Mhm.
don't need to listen to that," but your emotions may be trying to tell you, "Take a look at that email one more time before you send it."
Right, right.
Mm,
Your emotions are a way for spirit in the universe to speak to you because
yeah,
we don't always get the message. Not everybody can channel and hear the words, but
yeah,
everybody can feel the feelings if you haven't numbed yourself.
yes,
You
exactly.
know,
Emotions are
everybody can feel the
communication too.
feelings. And when you feel it, you sit with it and say, what is this coming from? Is there a message in here? What
Yes,
is it trying to tell me? And
yes,
sometimes there isn't like some huge message like don't send the
right,
email. Sometimes the message is you need to let this go,
yes,
you know,
yes,
instead of
mhm,
stuffing it down, instead of going to get something else to eat or turning on the TV or scrolling on your thing. Sometimes the message is just sit here and breathe and just feel this for a minute so it can go away.
yes, yes. And sometimes when you encounter somebody at work that you think, white people, black people, Latino, you may just need to shut it up and sit your ass down and figure out what's really going on.
Mhm.
And then you might just discover it's you people, like
Mhm.
you are the
Mhm.
one that some stuff is coming up. And we can't, I mean, people try, and we also see when we're talking about political leaders, professors, academics. Sometimes they come from here. They come
Mhm.
from the head up. It's just this
Mhm.
heady conversation,
Mhm.
and that's why sometimes there are many shows like that because when you're coming from here, it's just conversations after conversations after conversations. But
Mhm.
if we allow the conversation to drop down and take a breath,
And
which we did,
we didn't
which we
do
did
that.
today. Maybe that's why we keep stepping over each other. Because I mean, I'm like, wow, we are so like stepping over each other.
Saying the same thing. So but we did not take a breath before we got started. But you know what? We can do one right now.
Let me say this: things are just popping into my head. You remember the thing you shared with me, IG post, where this sister, I can't remember her username, but it's like my guides told me to meditate, and I said why, and she
She
didn't,
was tripping
and
all over.
things was all over the place. Now, I'm not going to support the idea that if you don't meditate, your life is going to be upside down. But taking a moment to be still just help. Because I've been noticing we're stepping on each other. I'm like, what is going on?
But you
So
know what? We didn't even pause. We usually pause and breathe before we go live, and we went from
that's what I'm saying.
talking to just straight live to straight into doing this. We didn't pause anywhere.
Oh, get this. Even Cecile and I make mistakes. So you can forgive yourself.
Yep, we forget to breathe. We forget to breathe. So I am inviting everybody now.
Can you
Look,
imagine if
it's
Christine is
almost
watching this?
in, almost 20 minutes in. If you're watching, I'm inviting you now to breathe with us.
It's never too soon, never too late to breathe.
Never too soon, never too late. You can always take a minute.
Oh, boy.
I don't care what's going on. You can always take a minute to breathe. All right. So I'm inviting everybody to sit up straight, to give your belly room to expand. Notice where your shoulders are. If they're up by your ears, bring them down. Notice if you are carrying tension in your jaw or somewhere else in your body. I'm inviting you to just shake it out. Shake out your shoulders, shake out, you know, move your jaw around, shake out your body. Wiggle.
Oh.
Whew. And then still with that good posture so your belly has room to expand. Feet flat on the floor if you can put your feet on the floor. Just let your belly relax. Nobody's looking, just let it hang out. Put your hands on your belly if you need to so you can feel it move. And then take a deep breath. And then at your own pace, go ahead and let it out. And let's do at least one more. Take in another
Mhm.
deep belly breath. And then exhale. And I want to do a third one. That felt good. And then notice the shift in your body. Notice the shift in your energy. Anywhere where you felt tension before you did the deep breathing, go back to that body part and notice if there's more relaxation, if there's more flexibility, if there's more space in those spaces. Notice your energy, you know, because Ade and I, we were like, and just out there a minute ago, and notice how our energy has shifted, and then look at your own energy and notice
Mhm.
where the shift is.
Yes.
And notice how much easier it is just to breathe, not even taking a deep breath, just to breathe. And then when you're ready, you can open your
Mm.
eyes.
You know, and I let me see. I'm certain for me that part of my nervousness, anxiety, or fear back in the day of doing the work that I came here to do, came on this plan to do, was
Mhm,
of not wanting to be so transparent or being so like, oh my God, and people gonna know everything about me, how I think, how I live. Oh my God, how I have
mhm,
nothing to protect myself.
mhm,
And so, and I think you know Ricky Byers. She got a song called "Use Me,"
mm,
and whatever your interpretation of God is, however you label God, whether he's a he or she or it really doesn't matter. Maybe it's just something bigger than you. It's
mhm,
like I knew that by saying yes to the work that I came here to do, I'm allowing myself to be a channel, a vessel.
mhm,
And as we were, I was going to say meditating because that's what it was like for me.
mhm.
Meditating, just getting still and tuning in. I was having this internal giggle because it was like we had a demonstration of what it's like when you don't bring your whole self to a space. You're just like, getting mad, getting joker. I don't know, thinking of my nerves. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
you want to use us as an example? Okay, live.
Definitely, definitely, because I went from a meeting straight into logging in, and then you logged in. We started a
Yeah,
conversation, and then
yeah.
did not take a pause, and went straight to live, and did not take a pause for the audience. And so they got to see all the energy of everything that we were bringing while we were still trying to have this conversation. And I want to point out too, when you were what you were just saying, when you paused, I was like, you didn't want to be seen. And then you were like transparent. It was the same thing. I knew what you were going to say. And I want to
Mhm.
point out for anybody that's watching that saw our like hyper selves in the beginning and we paused and took those breaths, just notice how us pausing to take a breath for both of us, our speech patterns have slowed down.
Yes,
I can see that you are more in your body. I know that I feel
I
more
am.
in my body. I feel
Yes,
more solid. And
yes.
so just notice if you
Mhm.
haven't paid attention to what's happening within you now that you've taken those breaths, take a look and see, do you feel more settled in your body? If you were talking to somebody while you were watching this, has your speech pattern slowed down? I noticed my voice was up higher before. I was like, oh my God, and now like my voice is like much,
Yeah.
much lower.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
just notice these things because there are physical manifestations of getting into your body,
Yes.
and being present in the moment. There are
Yeah.
physical manifestations when we aren't that doing those things.
Exactly.
And when you can learn how to recognize those things in yourself, you can also learn how to recognize those things in other people. And then you can say, hey, you know what? I really want to have this conversation with you. And can we pause and take a breath?
Yes.
And then y'all breathe together. And then maybe you can connect a little bit better, when you're
Mhm.
talking to someone. So The same way we noticed that we hadn't done that, and then both of us were like, "Oh yeah, we got to breathe." You can do that. You can do that with somebody too. If you notice that they're just like all over the place. Not saying that's gonna work every time, because I have people in my life. If I said, "Can we breathe together?" they would say no. And
Mhm.
that's their prerogative. But if you get to notice those things, you can still take a breath. And then you can decide, do you want to continue that conversation with someone else who's not willing to get grounded and then, meet you?
Yes. I mean, there's so much in what you said. It just ideas. I mean, even if you can't ask the person, I can ask my supervisor, my CEO to breathe with me. You can stop and breathe.
Mhm.
What do you think? And you're like, oh, this is going crazy. You can just take a moment and go,
Mhm.
well, that itself changes the energy of the environment. I
Right.
have I've spoken to reps on the phone. They're just going so fast. I'm like, do you mind slowing down? Because sometimes, I mean, I'm an empath. I don't
Mhm.
use that often, but it's like, oh my god.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's like, I'm sorry, or they just kind of slow it down a bit.
Mhm.
Or I will intentionally slow down my conversation.
Mary Elizabeth is putting up the hearts.
They're like, yes, yes, yes. And here's another thing that I want people to really be with. I want to invite people to take this on board to nuts, because we do that sometimes. We get access to new information,
Mhm.
and then we judge ourselves based on the new information.
Mm.
To recognize that how we came in, it's not. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not good. It's not bad.
Mhm.
And where we are now is not good. It's not bad. It's just we recognize that in order to deliver the message that we are feeling in our hearts and our minds
Right.
effectively, it's important to bring all of ourselves, which is
Mhm.
what we are talking about. But
Right.
we also became an example of what it's like to not bring all of yourself.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
when we took the breath, we were able to tap in. The breath is a reset. The
Mhm.
rebooting of the computer, of your phone, and the thing that wasn't working before starts working. What happened? I don't know. I just rebooted my phone. The breath, it just brings you back to
That
a place.
reset, oh my
Yes.
goodness, that reset is so, so important, and Imma tell you what, you can reset as many times as you need to throughout the day.
Hmm.
Okay, people, when I'm talking with people about resetting, they're like, "Yeah, I reset at night," or, "I wanna reset in the morning," and Imma tell y'all, I reset when I'm aware, when I'm really trying to be embodied. I reset several times a day. When I'm following what I like to do, I reset before every new activity just to breathe and say, okay, I'm done with this, and now I'm about to start something new. And I don't want to bring that old energy from whatever it was, even if it was good energy. I'm not trying to contaminate what's going forward with that. That was that, and I'm going to breathe, and then I'm going to go do something else. And so you can reset as many times as you need to. And that
Yep.
means if you need to breathe, if you need to stop and take a breath and make sure you're in your body every hour, every 30 minutes, every 20 minutes, whatever you want to do, whenever you recognize that something is about to shift, you're getting ready to do a new activity, or um, you're not quite in your body because your thoughts are all over the place, or somebody said something that triggered you, or whatever, stop and just take a breath. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, like you said, the breathing is a meditation, but if that language bothers you,
Right.
if the language of meditation bothers you, if the language of spirituality bothers you, we all breathe. That's a biological thing. You know,
Plants
Forget
breathe.
the forget the language, the spiritual language, the language about meditation. Breathing is a biological fact, okay? If you're going to be alive, you're going to breathe. And so just say, I need a breath, and just take a breath. You don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to ask anybody else. You don't have to close your eyes and, put your fingers in a mudra. Just take a breath.
Yes.
It's going to work regardless.
Yes. Yes. Your body's already doing it, and there's a
Right.
reason your body is doing it nonstop.
Mhm.
So being intentional and being conscious about what your body is doing, taking that moment to just breathe in, it's like it's already happening. You're becoming more aligned with your body. That's why
Ma-
you're bringing your whole self.
Mary Elizabeth is feeling everything we're saying.
Oh yes, yes, yes to everything you're both saying. Mary, I hope you're taking deep breaths with us. And it's I don't even know. Well, I don't know. I'm a weird species. Um, I don't know why people have issues with taking breaths. What I mean is, some people think, "Oh yeah, so you're gonna breathe now? You're a hippie." What are you
Yeah,
talking about? You're
I've
already
gotten that before.
breathing.
I've gotten that before. All
It's
right, y'all
like,
have to excuse me while I fan. Whew, it's getting hot. It's hot over here. I have the patio door open, and like the humidity just started coming in, so I got a fan. Sorry. So yeah. So anyway, Mary Elizabeth, the one who's commenting, who's watching live with us right now, she gets this because she's in my meditations for persistence group.
yes.
She was one of the moderators for a while for me,
Mhm.
and so she gets this about the breathing and about the bringing your whole self by being in your body. Our society, the way that it's set up, we stay in our heads. We want to think about things and we want to talk about things, and rather than putting ourselves in our body and saying, "How does this feel to me?"
Mhm.
Because if you
Mhm.
get in your body and you figure out how it feels to you in your body, that will help you clarify your thoughts. Because
Mhm.
if you're thinking so much and you're being so like intellectual and removing the emotions, I know there's a lot of people out there that say the emotions are the thing that get us in trouble. There's right and there's wrong. Things are black
Mhm.
and white. You got to just remove the emotions so you can make the decisions. But when you remove the emotions to make the decisions, a lot of times you miss things. I
That's
mean,
it.
seriously, I feel like you miss stuff. And so when you can breathe and get in your body and you feel, oh, you know what? I've got butterflies in my stomach around this.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what does that mean? I was saying this and I was thinking this, but I've got butterflies in my stomach. So that's a sign that maybe your body is saying, yeah, you're saying that, but what do you really think?
Mhm.
Or I'm
Exactly.
thinking about this and now I've got this back pain. Or I was thinking this and all of a sudden I'm breathing very shallow and up in my chest. That's a sign that
Mhm.
I'm suppressing my emotions, right? So
Mhm.
maybe instead of just keep talking, maybe I should just bring my attention to my breath.
Yes. Yes.
Ah, Mary Elizabeth is saying, oh, you go so fast that you aren't even visible to anyone.
Or yourself.
Or yourself. Mhm.
Sometimes
Mhm.
I eat so fast, I'm like, I'm sure there was something on this plate, but I can't remember what it was. What did I just eat? Right? 'Cause
Right.
I got a meal coming up.
I had more. Wait a minute. Did I eat all of that?
Yes. Did someone share my food with me?
Right.
So yes, Mary Elizabeth, we hear you. We understand.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
breath. When we talk about bringing your whole self, and we focus a lot on the breath because clearly that's what needed to be talked about, the way it all
Yeah.
happened.
Mhm.
And breath is life.
Mhm.
Breath is your spirit, it is your essence. And when you're not breathing, when you're not aware of your breath, especially in challenging times, yeah, we resort to the head,
Mhm.
and we're not making um, a holistic decision, a
Right.
all-inclusive decision about things that affects ourselves and other people.
And other people.
Eh,
Yep.
my fiance will always say what we're dealing with in the world is a heart issue. Is a heart issue.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear
Shut
what
up.
he said? I heard
I,
that.
I saw your smile. I tried to like keep moving. Your smile. I was like, okay, I know what she's doing. Yes, my fiance.
You want to tell our viewers? I don't know if y'all caught that, but I heard it.
Well, we're engaged, and well, I actually proposed to her online before. She lives in Atlanta, and I'm here in UK, England, and so we met. We went on vacation in DR, Dominican Republic, recently, and I got a chance to actually do it in person, and yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yes, I'm
Oh,
so
look,
good.
you got claps.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, thank you. It feels good. It feels good to love and be loved and feel the love. So yeah, and
Mhm.
that's another way of bringing your whole self. But it's this whole thing about bringing heart to whatever you're doing,
Mhm.
and bringing your heart doesn't mean okay. Two things doesn't mean you're gonna won't be able to function.
Right.
And I also understand why people don't want to bring their heart to things sometimes
Mhm.
because our heart is full of a lot of stuff, unresolved issues,
Mhm.
things that we haven't dealt with
Mhm.
childhood. So we're like want to keep it separate.
Mhm.
And if you can't get yourself to a therapist, a counselor, a mindset coach, a facilitator, a retreat, if you
Mhm.
can't get there for whatever reason, take yourself to the spiritual healer called deep breathing. That's part of supporting yourself in
Mhm.
releasing the trauma. So, anyway,
Mhm. All right, and I want to say something about bringing your whole self and being embodied and all of that. Bringing your whole self to something doesn't mean you have to expose everything about yourself to everybody.
exactly.
Everybody doesn't deserve to see and
Nope.
know everything about you.
Nope.
Okay? So, but you can still show up as your full self and keep parts of yourself private.
Mm-hmm.
Showing up as your
Mm-hmm.
full self means that your beliefs and your actions
Mm-hmm.
are all in alignment,
Yes.
you know?
Heart, soul, and mind.
Yeah, but it
Heart,
doesn't
soul,
mean
and mind.
that you have to share all your information with any or everybody. You know, we all deserve to have some privacy. And as
Mm-hmm.
much as we're out here talking and sharing with people and, sharing things like the fact that you're engaged doesn't mean that we have to share all that kind of stuff with
Mm-hmm.
people. I mean,
Right.
honestly, as much as we're here, we don't owe anybody anything. We we
Nothing.
are we are coming and sharing what spirit has moved us to share. We
Mm-hmm.
both have callings, to do this kind of work, and we have personal lives that y'all are never going to know anything about.
Nope.
But we
You
still show up as our full selves while we're
yeah.
here. So I just wanted to make that distinction.
Yes, yes. And because it's so easy to make things be bigger than what it is, which helps
Mhm.
us stay in our comfort zone.
Right.
When you talk about racism, white supremacy, injustice, people being killed for the color of their skin, what's going on in school system, teachers not getting paid, we often it's easy to go like, but it's just one me, just little old me. I can't make any difference. You don't need to run for politics. Maybe you do. You don't need to run for office, but
Mhm.
maybe you do. However, you do what you can do, even if that just means acknowledging a teacher. Maybe normally you just take your child to school and you leave. It's like, thank you for the work you're doing.
Mhm.
I was watching the show, what is it, Abbott Elementary or whatever. It's like, it really just got me thinking, I appreciate the work you do.
Mhm.
Sometimes that can change a teacher's life. Like, you
Mhm.
recognize me,
Mhm.
you see me. Bringing
Mhm.
your whole self is recognizing you're human, you're fighting your own battles, dealing with your
Mhm.
own demons, you got your own successes and achievement, and
Mhm.
so is the next person. Even if they were doing things that you would call evil, they're fighting their own demons. And
Mhm.
if you can
Yep.
sit long enough to see through their demons
Mhm.
and speak to their heart,
Mhm.
you can understand why a mother whose son was killed by another guy now adopted the guy who killed her son. She was once
Mm.
on Oprah. This
What?
this man killed her son. I don't know if everybody can do that, but
No, not
we
everybody can do that.
and we all have the capacity to do that.
Mhm.
But for whatever reason, we may not be able to do it. But
Mhm.
find what is yours to do. It might
Mhm.
be just saying hello to your neighbor. It may
Mhm.
be just saying
This
a
is
prayer.
what you're talking about is what we talk about and what I teach and Inspired by Indigo. When we go through the 4 pillars every month of self-care, know your facts, undo the work, and then rest and celebrate, what I'm teaching people is how to build the capacity to
Mhm.
be able to make the change. And
Yeah.
what I talk about in the undo the work piece is that it doesn't have to be something major. Take
Mhm.
the lesson, whatever fact we were talking about for the month, and then you do one small piece. We might not be able to go out and create federal legislation for something, but when you see injustice in your workplace, at your church, in
Call
your
it.
family, then you say something,
Yeah.
and you don't have to go out accusing people. Oh, you're being racist, you're being sexist, you're being homophobic. Ask the question. Just say, why are you saying this? Or why are you saying this way? Or why is it like this? Because asking the question brings the attention, brings the focus to the injustice, and then other people can say, oh, I never noticed that. And so it's not about you got to do some huge thing. I got to go out and make federal legislation, or I got to go out and change the state, or I got to go out and, even run for office in my city. You might need to do those things, but for all of us who are not doing those kind of things to be able to say, "Oh, I don't have to be confrontational with this. I can just ask the question to bring the attention to whatever is going on." And then by asking the question, I am supporting my beliefs. I'm acting in alignment with my beliefs instead of seeing something and staying silent, you know,
Mhm.
and by asking the question, I get the conversation started, and then you never know where that's going to go. Maybe you're going to get that change even faster than you ever expected just because you said,
Yes.
why are things like this? You know,
Yes.
just that one question. Why is it like this? Have y'all noticed that it's like this?
You can change a lot. You can change people quicker with a question than telling them what to do. If your
Mhm.
question inspires them to think,
Mhm.
whether you think they belong to a different political party or different group or whatever, if you can ask them
Mhm.
a question, if you have a connection with them, it could be just as simple as like, so mom, what if that was my brother?
Right.
Whatever the
Mhm.
reason, my brother got killed. My brother was, wrongly accused of something he didn't do.
Mhm.
What if that was my brother? What if that was? I mean, just not.
Mhm.
The key is not. It's not being antagonistic. It's like, but
Right.
think about it. And
Mhm.
when it becomes personal, it becomes personal.
Right.
And you're
Because
like,
I'll tell
yeah,
you, most of my students are white women, and when they're asking questions and they're not getting the stuff when I'm talking about it from a race perspective, and then I say, "Well, what if we were talking about misogyny?" And then they go, "Oh, oh."
hmm
It's like,
hmm
okay, you're not getting the race thing, but what if we were talking about men and women? Do you see how this would
yeah,
be wrong? And then they're like, oh, yeah, I can see that. I was like, okay, now apply that to racism,
uh,
or apply that to, homophobia, or apply
yeah.
that to ableism, because it's all the same thing.
It's all the same thing. I believe that we're separated from one another,
Mhm.
that we're separated from our good, and there isn't enough. And if I don't
Mhm.
get mine now, somebody else is going to get it, and somebody
Mhm.
else is the reason why I'm not getting what I
Yep.
deserve. We are
Yep.
not separated, and there's more than
Nope.
enough.
There's more
Distribution
than
is the
enough.
problem. There's
Yep.
more than enough.
Mhm. Yep. Whew.
Woo.
All right. Well, I
Yes.
I think that was plenty of message for today. And so I'm going to invite y'all, whether you're watching with us live, thank you for being on live with us, or if you're watching this on the replay, I'm going to invite y'all to breathe with us one more time because we are about to
Mhm.
end this and then shift to something else, whatever it is that we're going to do. Oh, Mary Elizabeth, thank you. She says, I have no words for
Yeah.
how golden this time has been for me.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm
Mhm.
so glad that you were able to join us live today. All right, so I'm going to ask you one more time to sit up straight. Notice where your shoulders are. Are they up by your ears? If they are, drop them down. Notice any tension you might be carrying in your jaw. Relax your tummy. Do a quick body scan and notice anywhere else you might be carrying tension, and then just let it go. And now just take in a deep belly breath, and then exhale at your own pace. Let's go one more time. Again, take a deep inhale through your belly, not through your chest. And then exhale again at your own pace. And then as you open your eyes, notice how you feel in your body. And then I am sending you fierce love as we get ready to move on to whatever it is that you're going to do today. I want to remind you that today has a podcast. Tomorrow, that's Tuesday, it's 1 o'clock Eastern time. Is that right?
Correct.
All right.
You
Remind
go
me.
on YouTube,
Yep.
youtube.com/life coach Ade. And this coming Thursday, hosting a gathering called Representing Your Ancestors. I'm collaborating with Let's Reimagine.org. To get to it, it's real simple. bit.ly/your ancestors and the number two. bit.ly
Hold on.
forward slash dot
bit.ly
ly
forward
forward
slash.
slash your ancestors and the number two. We're going to use our names to connect with deep wisdom, to connect with our ancestors, and strengthen our sense of belonging just by using your name.
All right, there
That's
you
it.
go. It's up on the screen. bit.ly/your ancestors too.
That's correct. Thank you, my dear sister. Always love being with you,
Thank
talking with you,
you.
sharing with you.
Love being with you too. And I want to invite everybody every Wednesday. I post a new blog post at cecilearmstrong.com/blog. So you can check me out there. And I also want to invite you to check out Inspired by Indigo if you are looking for um, someone to guide you through making anti oppression a habit. If you are looking for community to be able to learn how to do this kind of stuff step by step, join Inspired by Indigo because that's what we do. All right.
Indeed.
Sending y'all fierce love. And I will see you guys next week, right?
Peace and blessings. Yes, you will. I'll be here.
All
Christine will
right.
be back,
See
right?
y'all.
Yes.